Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Penda James, and I am a scribe coach. What I do is I assist leaders who are in transition to get unstuck, execute their goals, and inscribe their legacy. What you are watching or listening to is the Resilience Project. This is a personal development project for me. I am talking to people in my life that I care about so that I can introduce my friends to my friends so that we can all do great work in the kingdom. We're having some conversations that are a little bit challenging, things that we don't always talk about in the real public eye. These are private conversations that we have, but these are important conversations that need to be had. And so I want to say in the beginning that this is Mental Health Awareness Month. July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And my guest today was very adamant that he wanted to have this conversation before the month of May ended. So we made it happen. So if you're watching this anytime other than the month of May, just know that it was intentional, that we raise awareness and talk about mental health awareness this month, May 2021. Today I'm talking to Antonio Rodriguez Pelt. He goes by Tone, Tone. He has many, many nicknames that many people in different walks of life call him, but I call him Tone. He's been Tone since I've known him, since he became, like a brother figure to me at Wilberforce University. And I wanted to have this conversation today because the declaration that we're going to discuss, I still believe, is really, really important. It's important because Tone considers himself, a man, a strong man, and he is a believer, and he has some life experiences that some Christians may say make him not a Christian. I'm gonna let him tell his own story about that as we get into our conversation. But if you have children who are listening with you, I just want you to know that this conversation may be a little bit on the advanced and mature side. And because I want Tone to be honest, I want him to be full of what he's going to share, because I want my brother to get to the healing that he's been trying to get to. And that's what the whole purpose of this Resilience Project is. So, long introduction of Tone. He is an uncle, he's a godfather, he's just so many things to so many people. So with that said, I know I've said so a lot. All my Toastmasters forgive me for that. Tone, is there something that I did not say that you want to say as part of your introduction?
No, I think you've pretty much hit everything on the nose. Again, like you said, I wanted to do this because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and just want people to not to be ashamed to be addressed if you have to address mental health issues if you have them. So I thought this is very important. I'm actually going through a lot of my life right now, which I'll get into as we get into this conversation. But I think this is necessary. So hey, I'm ready. You got
So
it.
thank you for having this conversation with me. We've been talking about it for probably 6 months, but
Yes.
everything is in season. Everything is in season, and I truly believe that. And I chose your declaration. We were going to talk about something else,
hmm
and this early this morning when I was on my walk, I just really felt that the Holy Spirit was like, "Nope, that's not it." And so I want you, with your declaration today, being,
hmm
I still believe. I want you to define belief.
Belief for me, belief. The definition of how I see belief is having faith. Okay, believing that God is going to do what He promised to you, because everyone has a promise that's given to them by God, I believe, when they're placed on the face of this earth. So from the time you're born to the time you become of age where you know the difference between right and wrong, and you begin to understand what believing is, whether you believe in cartoons, fantasy, or real life things. Um, God's promise is real and it's based on reality and the reality that He has set forth for you to live. So, belief is believing in all that is true and defined and ordained by God. That's what belief is to me.
So you said earlier that you are going through a lot of things in your life right now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That word, still, in front of believe is
Mm-hmm.
important. Now I want you to
Mm-hmm.
take it to the next level.
Okay.
How do you still believe?
I still believe that God is going to do everything that He promised me from the time I came out of this last episode of depression and breakdown in July of 2020 to the situation I'm in right now to now. Recently, if I can talk about that, um, I was about 12 days ago, maybe 13, I was terminated from my job. Um, and in being terminated from my job, it set a lot of things in motion that have already been going hectic or crazy for me since 2021 began. Um, in January, my family lost a very dear cousin, niece, mother, young mother to COVID. And it devastated our family. She's only 29 years old, newly married, three kids, and a new baby she had just had a few days before she passed away. And then even recently, about a month or so ago, my cousin, who was like I call her a cousin auntie, her name is Dorothy Sidney, she passed away. So we had two back-to-back deaths, people that were very near and dear to us. So those things affected me greatly on top of all the opposition I was facing in my job, which is for you all that don't know what I do. I'm actually a union rep, and I represent educators across the city of Houston and surrounding areas. Maybe have roughly 40 plus school districts, and so I train and mentor staff that I actually look over, that I'm a lead for, and then I actually do the same work that they do: make calls to members, recruit members, engage them, help them to build and understand their union and having a voice of respect on their job, and then also gain the support that they need from the school districts, especially in COVID right now. So we've been working virtually for the last over a year now. And so you can imagine how challenging that's been with the pandemic. So on top of that, I've had, many blessings that came since my recovery, the start of my recovery. And I want to say in November of 2019, when I first got the job. And then when I came back to Texas in January of 2020, when I first started working, it was a gradual increase. Okay. I still struggle from day to day to get up and go to work. I struggle with everything. I mean, from my professional life to my personal life to my spiritual life. So I couldn't really focus. I don't know how I was getting through that, but I will say by the grace and mercy of God. That's why I can say, yes, I still believe because He carried me through all of that. So I still believe if He can carry me through that and through the major breakdown I suffered 3 years ago, then He still has me now, because to me, nothing can be worse than what I went through. And then even 13 years before that, I went through a first breakdown in 2005 and didn't recover until the end of 2007. So I've been through the storm twice. I'm not looking for a third time, okay? So I've been really fighting through this right now to make sure that I get to the next level.
I want you to look into the camera and I want you to tell your comeback story. Okay. I want you to talk about what you want people to know about still believing in the midst of the storm, still believing when you know you're doing wrong and you love God. Like,
Yes.
I want you to talk to people so that they can get back up and stand on their feet.
Yeah. So when you let me tell you something. Yes, if I'm healing, if y'all knew what I've been through and where I came from and where I am right now, you would know the reason why I have tears and a smile at the same time.
So I want to know why you felt it was important to raise awareness as a Black man with mental health concerns.
Because I think in our community, in the Black community, that excuse me, mental health is taboo to talk about. It's not believed that it exists. And I'm here to tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you, don't nobody else tell you it does exist. We can, a lot of times they associate mental health with women. Okay. Women have breakdowns from post traumatic stress syndrome, postpartum, after pregnancy, all that stuff like that, or having babies. But I would tell you something. The mental health, I believe, it exists. It's very real, number one. Number two, I'm a firm believer from what I've learned and some of the stuff I've read in the word is that it's an attack of the enemy. Because once the enemy attacks your mind, guess what? He feels he can control you anywhere else. Okay. And your mind, your mental state and your physical state work together hand in hand. And so if he can break your mind down, you'll break down physically to the point where you can't function like I was. I couldn't read. I couldn't write.
Mhm.
I was regressed to a child that was calling out on his mama and his sister to help him to get through this. Where my sister had to lay with me some nights just so I would be okay.
But you
But
still believed, like,
I still believe, yeah, I had to because I'm still
so
here.
I want to thank you for telling your story
Hmm.
today. And I want to thank you for your candor and for talking about you still believe in the midst of all of these things, you still believe. And so
And
I want to,
can I say something? Can I add something else
yeah.
too? Um, just going back to mental health because I didn't really finish that part.
Oh,
Mental
sorry.
health is mental health is very real. Um, when you acknowledge that it exists, acknowledge that you have a mental health problem, which I've been diagnosed with manic depressive disorder, which is a form of bipolar, being bipolar.
Okay.
Acknowledge it, accept it for what it is, but realize that you don't have to stay in it. You can get the help you need. Okay. If it's medication, get medication. Okay. If it's counseling, get counseling. I've done both. I'm doing counseling again right now. Okay. And I'm not ashamed of it. Okay. Especially as being a man and a black man. Okay. Get the help you need because guess what? Once you acknowledge it, if you try to brush it under the rug, it ain't gonna do nothing but get worse. It's
Mhm.
gonna get worse. But I say get the help you need, get the counseling you need, talk about it, and use your story, use whatever you're going through. If you come out of it to help others the way that I'm looking at, guess what? It's part of my purpose in life right now, is to help others. I actually went to, I'll say this real quick. I went to the place that I was in a mental hospital last week on Mental Health Action Day. Okay. And I talked to some folks there about coming there to volunteer and help, whether it's serving food or whatever and so forth. Because I have a lot of downtime right now and I want to use my energy in a good way. And the lady at the front desk was so happy to see me and she said, "You're back. I'm glad you're on the other side and you look like you're doing well." I said, "I am." So I'm not ashamed of it. So I say, hey, like I say, acknowledge it. I got a lot of friends with mental health issues, but they don't acknowledge it. But I say, acknowledge it, get the help you need, and you will be. And know that, guess what? Prayer and your belief in God and your faith in God can change anything because I believe that's the main thing out of everything. All the treatment, all the counseling, everything I received, the prayers from my mom, my sister, my family, and my prayers. Guess what? God hears and He listens. I think that's what it say means. People like yourself, this you have been a blessing to me, Penta. You've always stayed on me the last probably 5 to 7 years. But I'm so proud of where you are now, and I'm glad to have been a part of this and been have the opportunity to do this. I'm looking for part two
Yeah.
because that's going to be the nitty gritty right there.